If you remain a drug addict, I don't care how much harm we reduce, you're going to have a short and miserable life.
What can we take out of this cat's life that's gonna devastate him? And they did that.
Marijuana as a medicine has so many diverse applications.
Your life is cut off, and there's nothing there for you.
It's all about putting people in jail.
I find that I can concentrate, I can get on with my day.
You're giving them something that is going to harm them as well and addict them. And we know that the THC is very high.
If you remain a drug addict, I don't care how much harm we reduce, you're going to have a short and miserable life.
I fly like paper, get high like planes. If you catch me at the border, I got visas in my name. If you come around here, I'll make them all day. I get one down in a second if you wait. I fly like paper, get high like planes. If you catch me at the border, I got visas in my name. If you come around here, I'll make them all day. I get one down in a second if you wait. Sometimes I think secure on trains.
What we are up against is a culture that since the 1960s has, at the minimum, not encouraged drug use and often romanticized.
Every step I get to, I'm clocking that game. Everyone's a winner, we're making our fame.
This is Tim. He's living his dream. He's a graphic designer and he also owns his own clothing company called Solid Apparel. He works out of his home and every day he is designing or printing graphics in an effort to keep his clients happy. And they are. But the beginning of his dream started when he was in college.
One of our projects was to come up with a brand and go with it, and everybody else was coming up with coffee and new chocolate bars and everything like that. And my dream is always been to do clothing line and whatnot. So I started it, and it was called Solid Apparel, and I started just doing stickers and placing them around the college and so on and so forth. Started printing my first shirt, and then it evolved from there.
He's been successful so far with his business, but aside from the regular struggles of a young entrepreneur, Tim wakes up to a reality that makes the rest of us feel lucky.
Been diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 21 years old. My seizure disorder basically is I have grand mal seizures, which is the full-on convulsing, where basically your brain hits reset.
His doctor prescribed him Dilantin, a drug used to help patients deal with epilepsy. But there was one problem.
Everybody warns you that it can actually induce seizures. I had no choice. I had to take the medication, worried that it was going to induce seizures, in which it did, and it put me over the threshold of amount of seizures for me to lose my license.
The drug made Tim feel depressed, and it caused him to have mood swings. With his business at the helm, he had to get off Dilantin, but at the same time, he needed to reduce the possibility of gaining seizures. So he turned to marijuana. The problem with that is, the drug is illegal. But luckily for Tim and other people who suffer from severe diseases, there was a safe house. It's called Calm, and their only reason for existence is to help people get their medicine.
I knew a lot of people that would benefit from organizations like this, and I knew it would be welcome in the community. I just think it's just a great environment to be in, and it helps a lot of people. I feel really fortunate. Our members require medical diagnosis to join, and the diagnoses that we generally accept are cancer, multiple sclerosis, HIV or AIDS, arthritis, chronic pain, spinal cord injury, glaucoma.
With so much on the line and swimming upstream politically, Neve has never stopped believing in the reason why he decided to open up Calm.
We know that the symptoms associated with the diseases are benefited by the use of cannabis. What that actual mechanism is quite a mystery, only because there's been no research in cannabis until recently.
The center is in an undisclosed location in Toronto in order to ensure the safety of the staff, volunteers, and patients. So how does one go about setting up a place where patients can ingest marijuana legally? Well, it's not easy.
To accept the fact that you could get arrested, which is costly, it's taxing on your soul,
But what do the police think about medicinal marijuana? Are they for it, or are they against it?
Ultimately, it's a Ministry of Health issue, and if the ministry dictates that they're allowed to smoke marijuana and have it on their possession for personal use, then it's not a legal right for the police service to, indicate or dictate whether or not they should or shouldn't be doing that. Our job as a police officer or as a police service is to enforce laws as it relates to the legal use of marijuana. So if they're told that legally they can use it, carry it for personal use, then we have no legal grounds to deny them the ability to do that.
With the police out of the way, it only leaves one obstacle for patients like Tim to reduce their symptoms. Doctors who refuse to acknowledge the benefits of smoking marijuana medicinally. This is what frustrates him the most.
You're just told that you can't do what you want to do. Sorry guys, your life is cut off and there's nothing there for you. I couldn't drive to my doctor's appointments, and they make you be at 4 or 5 doctor's appointments a week, and you can't get there. And not only that, you can't work to make the money to get there and then pay for the expensive medications that they want. There's no government funding for it. And to run a business and to be an entrepreneur, just to be anyone, to go through that, I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy.
Dilantin was starting to tear Tim's life apart. To him, the drug was not the answer. He just had to get off of it.
I was screaming for help, but depression is the biggest thing, and that's the thing with Dilantin. There's so many things with Dilantin that it can shut down your liver. It induces hair growth, you know what I mean? There's so many other things that it does to your body, and also toys with your emotions, and it's there's a lot of weird feelings you go through when you go through that stuff, because you're cut off from society, because you have this disorder. You're worried that you can't go out in public because you don't want a seizure somewhere, because you don't want, first off, you don't want a public seizure, because then it's gonna be that much further away from me getting my license back, which was the biggest thing in my business at that point. Living in Barrie, to get around, to go to events and certain things, I had to have a vehicle. Well, I don't know, it was just, to me it was so hard to deal with, and looking back at it, I look at it as it was just more or less, somebody, the dons, the powers, basically saying, what can we take out of this cat's life that's gonna devastate him, and they did that.
So is the medical community aware of these struggles? And how sensitive are doctors when it comes to granting their patients medicinal marijuana?
Your doctors fill out the forms, and usually the hard part is getting them to sign it, right? The forms aren't that complicated, but their insurer has recommended that they not sign the forms.
One volunteer believes that most people who put down the idea of medicinal marijuana have never seen the pain that these users are actually going through. He feels that if they did, they might change their opinion.
It's been interesting. I mean, I haven't really been in an environment where I've worked, where I've been around people who I've one day been helping and then the next day they've died, And I've had that experience here several times, working here over 2 years. So, you get attached to certain people, you learn what they're going through.
Inside the walls of these compassion centers aren't a bunch of stoners who just want to get high. It's people with severe problems who are trying to continue on with their life.
Some of the stories I hear, it would just blow your mind, of this pain and the struggle that some people have had to endure, and they're still going.
And luckily for the patients, they have somewhere to feel relieved.
People come in here and they're dealing with their reality. They get a little bit of solace here. They get a little comfort when they come here. You see it. This is where they come to get happy. But at least going to leave here going on to feel happy, I hope.
Canada is seen as one of the most accepting countries in the world when it comes to marijuana use. So what do Canadians think about medicinal marijuana? More than 50% of Canadians support the legalization of it, and 90% support it in terms of medical use. So why is the government shying away from legalizing marijuana? What's at stake for them? Would crimes related to drugs go up or go down?
marijuana is a gateway drug. Police service look at it that way. It's a soft drug, but typically it's just the stepping stone to the next level. That's why we do, support laying the charges and enforcing the marijuana use, the illegal marijuana use in our community. So we don't let up on that. We don't just look for people using cocaine or the harder drugs. We start with we work on the softer drugs too. I mean, certainly you just have to look at our statistics and the number of grow-op houses that we take down on a daily basis. So we're going to enforce the laws that are written, and because that's our job to do. And I don't think that legalization of it is going to change whether or not somebody might progress to the next level.
In the last 10 years, Health Canada has been forced to issue licenses to people who have about 5 or 6 conditions. And since then, there have been under 3,000 Canadians who have been issued their marijuana card, which is pretty small considering there are 400,000 medicinal marijuana users. So where does the issue go from here? What do places like CALM and their patients want to see happen in the near future?
For people to get doctors to sign for them, to get medical forms from the government. I know that there's challenges there. It's always been an uphill battle, but more and more doctors are, becoming more aware of the medical benefits and supporting their patients.
Let's legalize it. Let's, regulate it, tax it. It's just that simple.
And for Tim, he hopes for more than just accessibility when it comes to the drug he calls medicine.
Not only can I have my Health Canada card that I could, it could be maybe even recognized internationally. So if I wanted to go on a vacation, that you'd be able to take your medication with you. Where now you can't. You can never step into the States.
The government today has yet to make a big leap in the direction of making medicinal marijuana accessible. As the battle for help rages on, people like Tim will continue to wait in the shadows, hoping someone will understand their pain.